The body is the vehicle, consciousness the driver, yoga is the path, and the chakras are the map. Okay, welcome to Way of the Yogi everyone. This is the introduction to the Kundalini and how to awaken your chakras series. This is essentially a free course on the chakras, understanding them, and how to awaken them. This will all be put into a new playlist on YouTube. If you're listening on other devices, I recommend you take the time to watch the actual video, as I'll be putting a lot of relevant information, references, and infographics here. During some of those you may want to pause the video as well so you can analyze or read them better. This particular episode will be an in-depth introduction to lay some crucial fundamentals of the chakras. Do not skip this episode if you want to know what I'm talking about in the next episodes. I'm also assuming you know a little bit about the chakras already, so I won't talk much about the basics because that's all being said on hundreds of videos online. After this episode there will be 7 more episodes, each one going in depth into illuminating each chakra and practices to awaken them and more. There will also be an extra episode after the episode about the 7th chakra where I'm going to explain some even more powerful practices in depth for awakening the chakras. There will also be practices given in each episode too, so that's 9 episodes in total. I assume these episodes will be longer than I anticipate because there is just so much to say and I can't fit in everything. So let's also turn this into an interactive series and leave me your questions on YouTube below related to the topics I will be discussing, and I will try to answer them in the upcoming 8 episodes over the span of these next 8 weeks. I'm quite excited to give you all this information. A lot of it you won't find on the internet easily, and if you're excited to take this journey with me too, consider supporting by subscribing, donating, and turning on the bell notifications so you know when I release the next episode, and also share it with others who you think would be interested in this in-depth and practical course on the chakras. Okay, so let's get into it. Much has been said about what we call the chakras. The word chakra comes from the Sanskrit word wheel, so these are circular magnetic regions in the body. These are the 7 main energetic centers of the human body, and it is through these centers in which we as a soul, as consciousness, animate the physical body. The study of this goes very deep and there's many systems and teachings on the. It's so deep in fact, that if you think you know what the chakras are you're probably mistaken. Perhaps you've taken a masterclass thinking you know all about them in 5 minutes. But it would be absolutely wrong to think you could understand them that quickly, because in order to totally understand the chakras, you would have had to fully awaken each one on a significant and permanent level. And this is part of the purpose of our entire lives, to realize these manifestations of energy within us. Truly it's a whole life process to understand and not a 5-minute video on YouTube. So we're going to study many aspects, because to study the chakras is also to study Kundalini, prana, hormones, ego, meditation, and much more. This all of course ties in deeply with the awakening of consciousness, astral projection, enlightenment, healing, telepathy, clairvoyance, opening the third eye and much more. We're going to study them from many angles, from the perception of mainstream spirituality, as well as scientifically, psychologically, biologically, religiously, and of course through all this, I'll be offering my own understanding with the background of what I've learned in Gnosticism. All of this of course relates to Hinduism, Buddhism, and Christian sciences. There are many chakras by the way, over 100 of them and many energy currents in the body, but the main 7 synthesize all of these, so that's all that's really necessary to understand here. Kundalini is also going to be a strong theme in this series as it's intimately tied to the 7 chakras. It's the fuel of our chakras you could say. To awaken Kundalini is also to raise 7 serpents, also known as 7 cosmic fires. The number 7 in nature is very significant. It's the principle through which all things are created, and you'll see the 7 chakras are reflections of this. They are 7 manifestations of cosmic energy within us. These energies can be self-realized on a profound level. You'll see online a lot of superficial interpretations of what the chakras mean to us as humans, but these are really just our human egoic interpretations of what is really pure and divine cosmic energy. We use them in this way, but really the aim of spirituality and the aim of this series is to get in touch with this energy at its raw primal level, not all these manifestations of egoic expressions. And so this law of 7 in nature can be seen expressed in many ways. Thus we have the 7 days of the week, 7 chakras, 7 primary colors, 7 primary musical notes, the 7 primary planets, the 7 churches in the Bible which correlate to each chakra. That's right, the Bible teaches the chakras too in the book of Revelation. More on this later. And we also have the 7 primary endocrine glands in the body which also correlates each chakra, which I'll list now. There are 7 primary glands that medicine recognizes, but I'm going to list more than 7 glands here because there are various spiritual chakra systems describing different things and I don't want to waste time arguing the validity of what's right and wrong. So we have the first chakra, the root chakra, the Muladhara chakra in Sanskrit, and it is the Church of Ephesus in the Bible. Located in the coccyx and also in the gonads, that's the testes gland in men and the ovary glands in women, Some systems will say this is also related to the adrenal glands too. Next up is the sacral chakra, Svadhisthana, or the Church of Smyrna in the Bible, located in the prostate gland in men or uterus gland in women, and some systems mix the testes and prostate with the first and second chakra and accordingly swap the ovaries and uterus. But let's not get mixed up with technicalities. It's all in the same lower region of the body anyway. Next is the solar plexus chakra, Manipura, the Church of Pergamus in the Bible, located in the pancreas gland or also the adrenal glands of the kidneys. Next is the heart chakra, Anahata, the Church of Thyatira in the Bible, located in the heart gland. We'll also be looking at an extra chakra of the lungs, related to the heart, which has to do with remembering our past lives. More on this later. Next is the throat chakra, Vishuddha, the Church of Sardis in the Bible, located in the thyroid gland of the throat. Next is the third eye chakra, Ina, the Church of Philadelphia in the Bible, located in the pituitary gland. Now some systems will say this chakra is in the pineal gland, but really the pineal gland is the highest chakra. I also confuse myself too sometimes, so like I said, let's not get caught up in technicalities. It will make more sense when we get to that episode. And the last one of course is the crown chakra, Sahasrara, the Church of Laodicea in the Bible, located in the pineal gland. As it is commonly said, the pineal gland is the seat of the soul, the seat being the throne. To use a Christian reference, where our King or Father in heaven, heaven symbolizing the head dash, lives with his crown, which has many points to symbolize the many petals on this chakra as depicted in drawings of the chakra in India, which also relates to, or looks like, the pine cone. The pineal gland literally, biologically, looks like a pine cone as well. The purpose of working with chakras is to commune within the body within these 7 different centers. This is why other videos on YouTube which deal with the chakras in a superficial way say you can develop a really nice personality or a nice ego. For me, this mentality is kind of distasteful because the chakras are cosmic energy and it's something to be dealt with in a sacred way. And so as well as these manifestations of the law of 7 in the cosmos, we also have the 7 spiritual bodies, each one correlating to 7 dimensions in nature. These 7 spiritual bodies are the physical body, so the physical world of course, the etheric body, astral body, mental body, bodic body, and the atomic body. In other systems you will find different names for the different spiritual bodies, but let's not get caught up in that too, especially after the mental body the manifestations of the higher bodies of intelligence start to become extremely abstract, so it's almost profane to even try and label them and argue about which one is right. The astral body is already hard enough to understand directly. Now as for the references to the Bible teaching the chakras, I know you might be thinking, what? Or, this has to be hearsay. So as a disclaimer, you may not agree with a lot of what I'm going to share about the chakras, especially if you've read various resources before since it's an overly popular topic. But simply if you don't like that idea of the Bible teaching the chakras, I suggest just clicking off this video and spending your time elsewhere or watch some another generic 5-minute YouTube video about the chakras. The Bible is meant to be understood intuitively, not literally, but I hope most of the viewers here will understand that. For example, in the story where thousands of people ran out of Egypt and Moses saved the people by parting the Red Sea, did you know, in that little story, the Egyptians represented the ego? And so, we have to escape from the ego to escape from our suffering and find higher realms of consciousness, or in other words, higher dimensions of our chakras. The burning bush that Moses saw is consciousness lighting up to show us the way out of our suffering while traversing the dark path of the desert. Then you see the Red Sea, which symbolizes our deeper, emotional, primal, and even sexual nature. And when we learn to control it, we can part the sea, our emotions, with our mind. Moses represents the mind, and when we can control our emotions with ease, we can go through the middle of the Red Sea and into the Promised Land, which is freedom and liberation from suffering. So this is just a little example of how we can see these ancient stories in a different light. If you're still a little skeptical about me referring to the Bible, then let me give some references which will be appropriate for this introductory episode on the chakras. You know, I dislike using the word Bible because it has so many emotional connotations to it, so let's just call it an ancient Gnostic text. Okay. So in Revelation chapter 5 it says, I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne, a scroll, and within and on the back were sealed 7 seals. In the right hand has a lot of meanings. The right side has so many references throughout this text, but here we can understand that this is referring to sort of the right hemisphere of the brain because it's the right hemisphere we want to awaken. And the throne means the highest aspect of consciousness. What is also commonly referred to as the throne or the seat of the soul, as I mentioned earlier. The pineal gland tilde, and where it says, I saw a scroll within our body right on the back, that refers to the spine, and it says the back had 7 seals. Obviously this is referring to the 7 chakras, so to put that Into perspective, our divine energy must rise up the 7 seals, through the 7 chakras of the spine, to reach the throne, or the pineal gland. And this awakens the temple of the body. It illuminates the 7 churches and more specifically opens the right hemisphere of the brain. Much has been scientifically proven about the right side of the brain and the spirituality to be found there. I'll leave resources in the description below. So as we study the chakras, we have to understand that the spine is not just a set of bones, it is the heart of the central nervous system which connects the brain, heart, kidneys, etc., all together. It connects all of these chakras together. The spinal column is a thinking part of us, and through the study of the chakras we can understand that our whole body is intelligent, not just the brain, which is such an old-fashioned point of view. As you've been seeing on the screen, the chakras have 7 colors. All of the chakras work together to create light. That is where white light derives from and disperses from into 7 rays or cosmic rays. A rainbow is not a rainbow without all of its colors, right? And we can't create white light without all of the colors. It's a mistake to think that each chakra awakens individually or independently, or that they awaken systematically one by one. Each chakra is already awakened in tiny degrees, in either positive or negative ways within each of us. It's important to not be mere simpletons about this, but to understand that we are deeply complex energetic beings that relate to the other in a myriad of ways. This whole thing is not a simple matter, and everyone is always looking for simple answers, right? If you're looking for something easy, then just check out all of the other simple videos that are out there that are kind of like chakras for dummies. Okay, this takes tremendous work to develop these energetic centers and lots of commitment. In order to progress with this, one has to be willing to be in their own inner isolation and not be caught up in the world of form. But that doesn't mean we need to be in physical isolation, although that could help. But it means we aren't moved anymore by the fleeting distractions of life, and we are only concerned with what is actually happening within us. Because as you'll see, the chakras sort of absorb external forces when they shouldn't be, however they should generate their own power. Another general rule that we'll see throughout the relationships that the chakras have with each other is that the first 3 chakras, the root, sacral, and solar plexus, are lower chakras. Inferior chakras, you could say, in the sense that they are where most of our animalistic egoic nature resides, and thus we must learn to control them with our higher chakras, the heart chakra, throat, and head. We do this by raising the serpent of Kundalini, which is a feminine force. We raise it up through the spinal chakra canal, this feminine. A force which awakens the right side of the brain, which creates balance and unity with our masculine side, which is known in science as the left hemisphere of the brain. So, Kundalini is not just feminine then, but we primarily recognize it as so because all our source of energy comes from our root chakra. It's our divine mother or mother nature which provides us with this energy to ascend upwards to our Father in the heavens in our brain. But, just how do we do this? Well, to stay with the book of Revelation 5:4, it continues to say, I wept and wept because no one was found who was worthy to open the scroll or look inside. Now the root or original meaning of the word man means to think, so it must be saying that no man can open up the 7 chakras, but why? This is because man with its thinking mind cannot open the chakras. Only by thinking, speculating, theorizing or singing about the secrets of the spine will not help the secrets become discovered, felt or opened. It has to be experienced. So it continues to say, do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has triumphed. He is able to open the scroll and its 7 seals. The Lion of Judah represents the zodiacal sign Leo, which represents the sun and also the heart. The sun being the heart and the center of our solar system and also the center of our energetic body and chakras. Now don't worry, these biblical references will make more sense by the end of the series. For example, you'll see how the heart chakra is an essential gateway for unlocking both the lower and higher chakras, so it's through the stimulation of Kundalini energy, which has its feminine power in love. Love being the fire of the heart, and this energy rises up the spine just as the sun rises in physical life through the chakras and bursts open into light, splitting itself into 7 colors of manifestation. The thinking mind cannot open the chakras. The heart must the heart mind. If you are a somewhat advanced practitioner, you will know that if you place your attention and your awareness to your chest, you will feel those vibrations of natural love that come from the heart chakra, but not many people can do this. I get a lot of questions and emails saying, you know, I can't feel anything or any energy in my heart center. So this is what we're here for, right? To try to open and get a sense commune with this center of love. You know, when you were ever a teenager and you had your first love, your first crush, you may have noticed a burning in your chest. Well, this has to do with the heart chakra. So to understand how the chakras work, we can think of them as 7 magnetic centers within us that attract and accumulate certain forces or energies. Those energies can come from various things. But what is the base or raw force that these senses utilize? Prana. Prana means life force in a spiritual and material sense, and it's everywhere in every atom in all the elements. Prana is also known as the breath. Okay, so we understand that it's everywhere. Now, not to get too technical here, but let's understand the metaphysical process through which prana gets stored in the chakras. There's a process, you see. Yes, prana is everywhere, but prana is primarily and fundamentally non-physical. So here's how it descends down into physical matter. First, prana is turned into akash or akasha. This is the principle of ether. When it's related to the etheric body, it turns into something called tattvas. Tattvas are basically the vibration of the ether. If you know anything about the etheric body, the ether is sort of that vibratory energy that is between the physical and spiritual dimensions. I'll leave resources down below if you're interested in all of this, but it's not too important to know these technicalities. Okay, so it's through the aliveness of the tattvas that the chakras vibrate, and when they vibrate, it then stimulates the 7 endocrine glands. When these glands are stimulated, they secrete a certain type of molecular structure of hormones. This is what we feel as energy. So to be more simple, prana goes into the chakras, then into the glands, and the glands create hormones. These hormones are essentially neurotransmitters in the systems of the body. For example, when you feel adrenaline or other intense emotions, they are your chakras at work. Or when you're in deep meditation and you feel ecstasy, bliss, etc., it's your samadhi, your pineal gland releasing hormones. Hormones being chemicals such as serotonin, melatonin, and dopamine are all examples of what are essentially hormone neurotransmitters, or you could also say neurohormones. For example, 50% of dopamine is produced in the intestines, which is in the solar plexus and sacral chakra regions of the body. Have you ever felt butterflies or nervous energy in your solar plexus or belly? Sure, you could say those are just nerves, but if you paid closer attention, you would understand it's a certain type of structure of energy in your body being stimulated for various reasons, and you should understand and be conscious of those reasons. And if you would, then you would be able to control it and integrate it instead being at the mercy of it or at the receiving end of it. And if you're in touch with it, it could also be a form of telepathy. Someone sending you information or thinking about you or wants to contact you or something. So, telepathy is based in the solar plexus, not in the head, but we'll see more about that in a few episodes. And on that note, to master the sacral chakra in the belly is also to master astral projection as well. But we'll see more about that soon. So most commonly, we usually recognize these sensations in the belly as when we're nervous or desire something or someone, basically something egoic, right? So working with these chakras means to work with the chemicals in your body. It is to become an alchemist working in a laboratory, the laboratory being your body. And in order to awaken these chakras, we work with the fire, in other words, the primordial energy. It's the primordial fire of Kundalini, and is the same energy which gave you life. Have you asked yourself, what is the sun? Well, it is a flaming sphere, or a flaming wheel of fire which gives us life, which gives us food. It is solar atoms that we are always eating and ingesting into our body and chakras, but fire is also a destructive force too, right? So we'll see why Kundalini has also been understood as a sort of a double-edged sword. So this primordial fire of Kundalini, the same energy which gave you life, rises through the ether and the spiritual dimensions to connect consciously to the intelligence of the magnetic centers within you. Right now, as novices, our chakras are essentially only getting energies from mostly external things. To work with the chakras and Kundalini is a combination of love and psychology because this energy should flow naturally. But it is our negative and unconscious psychology and emotions which get in the way of being aligned with the source of prana. The source of prana being Kundalini, that feminine force which gives birth to all energy, all manifestations of reality, or to use a saying for a lack of better words, this energy is pure unadulterated love. Hence why relationships are really beneficial for us to practice love. Love surpasses all grips of the ego, but unfortunately most people don't know how to love, hence why intimate relationships and awakening the chakras are equally difficult. Okay, if you're too caught up in the intellectual confusion of what love is, stop trying to figure it out. Love arises naturally through the practice of overcoming the ego, and to live in a state without ego is love. It's impossible to not experience love if you do not have the ego. If you ever have moments where you feel very out of touch with this deep force of love, you can be sure there's something for you to be actively learning about yourself. This is how Kundalini or Devi Kundalini, the divine cosmic mother goddess Shakti, works with us. She is symbolized as a sleeping dormant serpent at the base of our spine. And when we make her happy and devote ourselves to her by listening to our conscience, she caresses our spine and chakras and imbues us with cosmic energy. But if we constantly do negative acts and stay in lower states of consciousness, she simply recoils because she can't integrate with you in the way. We must learn how to surrender and learn what it means to love. It's impossible to raise Kundalini without love, for love is the tremendous cosmic powerful force. So obliterate the superficial ideas you have of love that you've been conditioned from in society. As I said, the 7 chakras are manifestations of different rays of cosmic energy outside of us and also within us. It is a force that you can become conscious of directly. If you're just wanting to awaken your chakras for spiritual powers for your own egoic needs, you will fail. You have to love that which gave us this energy in the first place, that which gave us life, which is our cosmic mother. Just as it's reflected in our physical life of how we came out of the womb of our physical mother, we have a spiritual mother within us too. This is very profound and deep to understand and takes a lot of meditation and contemplation to understand fully, and it's very difficult for me to express the reality of this in ways which it won't be received into our conditioned preconceptual psychology. The cosmic mother, also the ancient Egyptian goddess Nut, is she who gives birth to gods and in a sense awakens the chakras. To awaken Kundalini is to also become a god, but not in an egoic sense, but in a divine sense. You see, the goddess Nut specifically gave birth to Osiris, Horus, Isis and more, and as you can see on the screen, she reclines over the world, revealing her body, her sacred body, being space and the cosmos itself. Ask yourself, where do the planets reside? This is in the womb of the universe. The universe itself is the divine feminine, that which is formless, and the divine masculine is form. The divine masculine is any object in space, in consciousness. It could be any object in your house. It could be the planet itself. Do you see where all of this comes from? They come from the 7 rays of love, of Kundalini, which is manifested into this earth through the vibration of the tattvas of pure prana, from pure primal life force. Next time you look up at the night sky, know you are looking up at the naked feminine body of creation, the akasha of space. So one has to learn to love the aspect of the divine mother or of the feminine. If you don't, then you're denying your own existence and your own source of power. The source of power of anything that is manifested is in this womb of creation. So if you are the type of person who enjoys disrespecting women and treats them as inferior, for example, or something, such people will simply fail in all of this. They will have no idea of what you know or what authentic spirituality is all about. So as for people or teachings that say Kundalini is dangerous or makes you crazy, well, frankly, that's just a bit of nonsense or simple-minded understanding. The pure force of Kundalini only heals, and that's it. It's pure light. Light is not dangerous. That's silly. The darkness is the dangerous part, but just as well necessary, and what people are referring to when they say this is some people with certain practices, or even using drugs incorrectly, trying to instantly awaken their chakras in a powerful way. But this is not awakened in a positive way. They awaken it in a negative way, meaning the ego becomes more empowered, and that's what is dangerous and leads you to illusion and delusion. Therefore, it's wrong to call this a Kundalini awakening. This is essentially an egoic awakening. You see, the energy has been awakened in an inverted way. Right now, all of our chakras are at the grip of our ego. So what do you think happens when you try to amplify the chakras without purifying them? Well, all of your delusions and hallucinations of reality become amplified, leaving you confused and misled. Then you start listening to yourself and all the dreams and all the hallucinations that is derived from the ego and is being sent to your mind's eye. Kundalini is only authentically awakened through overcoming our personal spiritual challenges and dissolvement of the ego, which are different to each soul. The fact is that you have come into this life to learn specific things, so your Kundalini awakens when we pass our ordeals, challenges, and our trials. It is awakened through the merits of our heart and our deeds too. This is symbolic of why initiations throughout various spiritual traditions have trials that people have to overcome, as they reflect the trials that are within and the trials of the heart. This is what initiation means. So let's try to understand the deeper aspect about the state of which our chakras are in right now, in a state of ego. You know, everyone's always asking, how do I activate my chakras? Well, they're already activated. Otherwise, you would be dead. You would not be an animated soul in this body. The reason you feel as if they're not activated is because they're activated in negative ways that we are not conscious of. So in simple terms, they are activated, but they are not awakened, meaning not self-realized. Self-realization naturally and innately implies purification, resulting in the balancing of these chakras. It is through the light of awareness itself, because if you were really conscious of them directly, you would immediately realize how you've been living, and intuitively know how to sense and balance them, innately understanding how to correct yourself, because you would have seen your mistakes before you make them. Now you're confused. You don't know what your mistakes are or how to awaken because you can't see and don't know the mistakes you're making from moment to moment. Right now, while our consciousness is asleep, our chakras are inverted and spinning anti-clockwise to the left. It is our suffering and resistance that makes it spin this way. The solution is to spin them clockwise in the opposite direction. To understand what direction they should be in, imagine you're driving a car and turning the driving wheel to the right. The way that wheel is spinning in front of you is how the chakras should be spinning within you from that perspective. Okay, So you might be thinking, this is all nonsense. My third eye is not activated. Oh really? So I'm guessing you've had a perfect life? I'm guessing you have never imagined or worried or have fears about how situations in your life could pan out. Perhaps you have a scary meeting with your boss. Are you not seeing a negative outcome in your mind's eye? Are you not anxious about the different feelings in your belly? Just as well, are you not using your imagination in a negative way? Do you never think bad thoughts of other people? Or about yourself? Don't you have unconscious dreams? You see, anytime you use your imagination, which utilizes the power of the third eye in a destructive, negative and egoic way, you are unconsciously using and abusing your spiritual powers. We've been doing this for so long that it's become completely normalized, and since we don't know what it feels like to have these senses purified, we don't know whether or when we're using them in negative ways. The power and potential this can have on our direct reality is immense. And as Buddha says, we create our reality. And through becoming conscious of our reality or realities that we create, we also in turn become conscious of the karma we create too, and thus we are able to dissolve recurring problems in our lives. Most likely these events have been happening in our past lives too, so we completely normalize this. You know, a common negative saying is, oh, it's just your imagination, right? When really you should not be ignoring it. You need to seek to understand it, meditate with it perhaps. As I said before, all of the chakras are linked to each other. So let's combine the third eye with the sacral chakra. When you're playing with yourself, don't you imagine egoic fantasies about various people you'd like to sleep with? You see how we're using our spiritual powers for lower needs? And of the lower chakras? But it doesn't only have to be sexual desire. It can be lust for wealth, fame and many other things in the world we chase after with our mouths open like idiots. Maybe you see your friend with the latest iPhone and you suddenly feel a rush of chemical hormones in your body. You feel these sensations of jealousy, of pride and say, I really want that too. I can't believe he got it before me. I'm so angry. You're moving energy in a negative and unconscious way and you're not aware of it. You're at the grip of it and are being controlled by it. Now you're going to probably make some kind of negative connection with that friend. We have no idea how cosmic forces are being used and abused within us for lower manifestations of reality. But instead, if you were conscious and organized your energies positively, you would be genuinely happy for that person, not jealous or angry. And you would be at peace with yourself and not at the grip of desire for a new iPhone when you already have a perfectly good phone. You may also feel the temptation to give in to your lower impulses once you've awakened. In your lower chakras is where it can literally be felt, but because you've been working on yourself and of contemplation, and just through that one can feel more intensely present than ever before. Generally, we grow up naturally developing the first three chakras, but even as fully grown adults most people aren't able to develop those well, and especially cannot develop the higher chakras, that is the heart, throat, and head chakras. These currents of electrical energies within us have infinite possibilities, but right now it's sort of like a lake instead of a river. It's just there. And if you tip it a bit, it flows to one side, or perhaps something in your life happens and you react and those energies react too. But the aim of all this is to gain control over these waters of energetic currents and apply to them direction, stimulation, purification, and awakening. These energies are primordial, primal, and always want to express themselves or be used, and right now the only way we know how to use them is through our lower compulsions. But the physical body is part of this divine energy as well. As it said, it's made in God's image, and thus it can't handle so much negative energy being used in the chakras, and so it weakens and manifests into illnesses. And when we restrain, when we save that energy and work with it, then we have more of it to direct to spiritual realization and healing. This is why the universal symbol for medicine has been of the serpent going up the spine, because this points to the ancient wisdom of when we are in touch with that power. We can sense negative energy before it enters our field of energy and the body of our temple and stop it from even entering our energy field in the first place, therefore, stopping illnesses from manifesting altogether. When I say energy is entering, I mean things that can come from within ourselves, such as our egos, our temptations, and our inner demons. Also, externally, for example, as we progress we're able to better sense the negative energy of other people too. That doesn't mean we need to cut out those people. You may make that choice, but you become more capable of not unconsciously soaking that energy into yourself, for you can only soak in the unconsciousness of others if you are unconscious of those things within yourself, hence why we usually attract people on our similar levels of vibrations. So this is also why God said to Moses to make a snake and put it on a staff, or our spine, and Moses did, and he showed his people the serpent on the staff and said to them, whoever makes use of this serpent would not be harmed during their journey. So awakening the chakras offers health and spiritual protection. Okay. So in the next episode we'll be looking in depth at the first chakra, the Muladhara chakra, or the root chakra at the base of the spine where the serpent resides sleeping peacefully. In the meantime, while you wait, you may want to practice something, right? So I'll first suggest using guided meditations that involve focusing on body awareness, especially if you're kind of new to meditation. These guided meditations will help, so I'll leave a couple below in the description, because it's all good and interesting listening to these episodes. But if you really want to deepen your comprehension, practice is vital and it's crucial. So we first have to learn how to enter or how to sense the inner body and the energy of it. Have you been focused? Have you been conscious and aware of your own physical body while you've been listening to this? Okay, so practice this, being present with the body and the inner aliveness. There is so much energy and aliveness within us, and the practices I'll be giving over the next 8 weeks will be a lot more powerful, so we can all take this journey together hopefully. Thank you everyone, and I'll see you on the next episode.